Welcome to Depew Field at the campus of Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania for the second game of this best-of-3 Patriot League Baseball Championship. Bucknell wins the first game today 5-4. A victory for the Bison today will allow them to join Columbia as the first two teams into the field of 64 for the Division I NCAA Baseball Championship with former Baltimore Orioles star Chris Hoyles. I'm Mike Barron. And Chris, we saw a very, very exciting first game, and really the story for it for Bucknell was the job that Bryson Ho did. 17 ground ball outs in 8 1/3 innings. He ends up getting charged with 4 runs, but it doesn't tell the story of how dominant he was, setting down 20 in a row at one point.
Well, he was really dominant after the first inning. The first inning, I think that, he had to settle in a little bit, and Lehigh got a couple early runs off of him. But after the first inning, he really settled down, ball down in the zone, really sinking, getting a lot of ground ball outs. Defense was superb behind him, and he just come out and just, like you said, he just out after out after out. I think you said 20, 21 straight outs. Really took the game upon himself and gave this Bucknell team a chance offensively to finally break through at the end of the game, I think the 8th inning, to score some runs.
Yeah, and they had stranded 10 men through the first 7. They finally broke through against Kevin Long. Long pressed into service today. He was going to be the Game 3 starter if they had gotten to that point for Lehigh, but a big rally for Bucknell, started by the bottom of the order, the 7 and 8 hitters for Bucknell in the first game.
Well, I think that was a great time in the game for Bucknell. They got the first couple of guys on, and they got a big sacrifice bunt to move them up. And, sometimes it just takes a little bit of a motivator like that, a sac bunt. They've had trouble the whole game getting a bunt down. Both teams did. We finally see a bunt get down and move the runners up, and it led to a big inning where they went on to score 3 runs and eventually went on to win the game.
If you're Sean Leary, the head coach at Lehigh, you have to be encouraged by the fact that you scored a couple of runs in the 9th to get back in it. I mean, they did have the tying run at the plate in the 9th inning. They end up losing 5-4. And you have to be encouraged that the one big power bat you have in your lineup, Tyler Braun, a pair of extra base hits, 2 RBI doubles. He's now got 2 doubles and a homer in this postseason. He's really the one guy with some thump in their lineup. The coaches have met at home plate. The umpires are all set, and we are just about ready to get underway as you see the senior right-hander Mike Burke taking the mound for Lehigh, one of the 3 captains on this team. All 3 of the Lehigh captains are mechanical engineering majors, so it's pretty good leadership in the class for a man on the field, I'd say. Burke is one of those guys that is not overpowering, but will throw a ton of strikes and changes speeds effectively. He will face this lineup for Bucknell. Again, a win from Bucknell in this game. They move on to the NCAA championship. If Lehigh forces a decisive game, that game will be played tomorrow. As you see the numbers on Burke, a 3.44 ERA and 10 starts this season. Less than a hit per inning, just 22 walks and 40 strikeouts in those 50 innings. Here's the lineup that he'll be facing for Bucknell. Brett Smith, the Rookie of the Year in the Patriot League, will lead off and play center field. Anthony Gingerelli will bat second. He will play right. Joe Ogren, the left fielder in this one, the all-league second baseman, playing left field. Again, the injury to Casey Furman earlier this year, causing Coach Scott Heather to move stuff around on a game-to-game basis. So Ogren, who played second in the first game, will play left field today. John Mayer is the catcher. He will bat fourth. He was the DH in the first game. Rob Krentzman will play first and bat fifth. Sam Clark is the third baseman. He will hit sixth. Alex O'Neill, who did not start in the first game, but had a big series of 3 hits on 5 RBI against Navy in the semifinals, he will bat seventh and play second. Danny Rafferty is the designated hitter. He had the big 2-run double in the second inning of the first game today. The DH from Chicago will hit eighth, and Greg Wasikowski, the veteran shortstop, will bat ninth. Mike Burke finishes his warm-up tosses, takes the long last walk around the mound. We are set to get underway. The umpires of this one, Keith Seghetti behind the plate, Steve Lombardo at first, Eric Pavlovich at second, and Tom Beck, who did a nice job calling balls and strikes in the first game, will be the impartial arbiter at third. Beck is also the crew chief. We are set to go as the right-handed hitting Brett Smith stands in, and the first pitch from Mike Burke on its way, and it's a strike on the outside corner to begin. Smith in the first game of the doubleheader today, 2 for 4, pair of singles, and the big 2-run base hit that busted things open in the eighth. The 0-1 There's a breaking ball outside. It's 1-1. Smith, as we mentioned, the Rookie of the Year in the Patriot League, and that was a huge at-bat. He was robbed of a base hit with a man at third in the infield early in that game and drives home a pair in the 8th. He's ahead now 2-1. Hit a ball hard back through the middle to start that 3-run rally, and then Bucknell just able to hold on to win the first game 5-4. They are now 4-1 against Lehigh this year. 2-1. Outside, the count now 3 balls and a strike to the leadoff man in this game. Burke peering in for the sign from the catcher, Mckay. And his 3-1 fouled off to the right, not a play. Bucknell's starter in this game will be Dan Weigel, the left-hander, was a first-team All-Patriot League selection. Talk more about him as he takes the mound. Should be a very good matchup of veterans. Pair of seniors in this. Burke into the line. Gets set and is 3-2 on its way. Swinging in a liner to right. 2 steps to his left is Wilt. He will make the catch, and the leadoff man retired here in the first. The defense behind the senior righty Mike Burke. Joe Abel is in left. Justin Pacioli in center. Brandon Wilt, who made that catch in right. Patrick Donnelly, the freshman, is at third base. John Elson at short. Mike Garzillo at second. Connor Faust at the first base. And then Tim Mckay did a very nice job behind the plate in game 1. Catches game 2. Nothing like catching both games of the double dip.
That's a tough day right there. I've done that many times.
His counterpart on the other side, John Mayer, at least got to be the DH in game 1. Maybe it's a level of trust that Coach Leary has in him. This is low. It's 2-0. Sean Leary, the head coach at Lehigh in his 19th season, took over the program at the age of 24. He is the winningest coach in Lehigh history. They have not been to the NCAAs since 2006. As Burke now falls behind 3-0. Scott Heather's in his second year at Bucknell. He was an assistant here for 8 years. Gene Depew, who is at the ballpark today. I saw him. It's nice you get good seats whenever the field is named after you. 3-0, a strike. It's 3-1. Heather with his 44th win, I believe, in the first game, and his 2 years at Bucknell. He's already 5th on the all-time wins list for the Bison. 3-1. Inside, ball 4, and Gingerelli will sprint to first as he draws the one-out walk. No score here in the top of the first. I'll bring up Joe Ogren. Now, even though we are playing this game at Bucknell, the Bison are the visiting team in this. In this best-of-3 series, all 3 games will be played here on the Bucknell site. If there is a game needed tomorrow, it'll be played in the afternoon. But so Lehigh is the home team today, even though they are wearing their road browns. Here's Ogren, and the first pitch to Joe Ogren's a strike. It's 0-1. Ogren in the first game of the doubleheader, 1 for 4 with a double. He drove in what ended up being the decisive run with an RBI ground out. It's part of that 3-run 8th. Throw to first, and diving back is Gingerelli. Ogren now 4 for 11 in the Patriot League tournament. Right-handed hitting. Sophomore from Memorial High School in Jackson, New Jersey, and this should be 2. Elson to second for 1. Zillow to first, and a 6-4-3 double play has Mike Burke out of the first. So Bucknell draws a one-out walk, but they do not leave anyone. We go to the bottom of the first. It's Bucknell nothing. Lehigh coming to bat. This is the Patriot League Baseball Championship on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insider. Here's Mike Garzillo, the second baseman, all first-team selection as well in the Patriot League. 5 for 18 in the playoffs, hitting .322 on the year. Leads the team with 33 knocked in. Takes the ball low. He reached on a fielder's choice and scored a run, was 0 for 4 in the first game. Garzillo hitting second. Joe Abeln is hitting third again. Give the rest of the lineup in a second as there's a strike. It's 1-2. Abeln will hit third. Tyler Braun, who we talked about at the outset of the pair of doubles in the first game, is a cleanup man. John Elson, the shortstop, at 5th. Connor Faust hits 6th and plays first base. Patrick Donnelly is the third baseman. Tim Mckay, the catcher. Brandon Welt and right. Pop up to center, and that'll be routine for Smith. Much easier play that time. 2 quick outs for Weigel. Weigel, the lefty on the mound for Bucknell, has really been their best pitcher. You know, it's a little bit different. I mean, Chris, I know you played at Eastern Michigan, and always your best starter were the Friday night guys. Sometimes the best starters in the Patriot League are the guys that start game 2 because those are the game of the doubleheader that go 9 innings, and Weigel's been that guy this year.
Well, it only makes sense. I mean, he's a big kid at 6'7", and looks like he throws the ball very well. And the interesting thing moving forward is the first 2 guys put the ball in the air, where the first game we saw a lot of ground balls. So here's another fly ball in the air.
And that one is going to be just foul on at the first base umpire, Steve Lombardo, who saw that one slice just into foul territory.
But he is a big kid, and, really that downhill at 6'7", you're really going to create that downhill angle as a pitcher to home plate. So it's going to be interesting to see as we go on here. The first 3 guys put the ball in the air and see how it plays out the rest of the game.
Fastball and a big breaking ball changeup. That's what he has. Complimenting, gets a grounder to the right side this time. O'Neill will gobble it up, flip to first. It's a 1-2-3 first for Dan Weigel. We've played 1, no score. Lehigh and Bucknell in the Patriot League Baseball Championships on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Top of the second inning, game 2 of the Patriot League Championship. No score as the heart of the order will bat for Bucknell in this inning against right-hander Mike Burke for Lehigh. It'll be John Mayer, Rob Krentzman, Sam Clark. Very impressive. We've made it all the way into game 2, and you haven't once made a John Mayer music joke about the catcher. I know that you were working on writing some of those out before the game, Chris.
Yeah, I was. Well, he's not a country guy, so I wouldn't know.
No, that's true. I noticed that there's been quite a bit of country music played here at Depew Field on what's turned into quite a pleasant day. A little chilly, but not terrible. One fouled off. But you've been singing along to everything.
That's right.
Pretty impressed.
I got with my production crew, and
you selected all the music ahead of time. Good.
That's my CD.
Here's the 0-2 on its way. Swing and a miss. The leadoff man retired here in the second. First strikeout for Burke. It'll bring up Rob Krentzman. Krentzman 0 for 4 in the first game. He struck out 3 times. He is 5 for 14 now in the postseason. Had a very, very good series against Navy. No score here in the second. Again, if you're just joining us, Bucknell won the first game 5-4. So a win for the Bison today, and they are into the NCAA tournament. Because that one is in there for a strike, 0-1. Krentzman, a big right-handed hitter, waits. Fouls that one back and count 0-2. Sam Clark, the third baseman, waiting on deck, retrieving the ball at the screen like any good freshman should do. Burke into the wind in the 0-2. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. That's a 4th time already in this doubleheader that Krentzman has gone down on strikes, and it'll bring up Clark. Clark was 1 for 4 in the first game. He scored the first Bucknell run.
Number 26, Sam Clark.
Freshman 4 for 12 now in the postseason. Had a pretty good day defensively until he committed an error in the 9th inning. A ball that kind of ate him up, and he taps this one to the mound. Nice leaping grab by Burke. He will flip underhand to first. And it's a 1-2-3 second for the senior right-hander. We go to the bottom of the second. Lehigh and Bucknell scoreless on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Second inning, no score. Lehigh and Bucknell as Tyler Braun, the cleanup hitter for the Mountain Hawks, stands in. Takes the first pitch low from Dan Weigel. Braun with a pair of doubles in the first game, drove in a pair of runs. He was most of the offense for Lehigh in their 5-4 loss. He takes this one outside. It's now 2-0. Braun, Elson, and Faust to bat here in the second for the Mountain Hawks. Weigel's 2-0, swinging a foul back to the screen. He had a good cut there. He's done a good job of getting himself into counts and letting it fly, Chris.
Well, like I said, as a hitter, you get in those counts and you can let it fly because you like 2-0 count. Now it's 2-1, but you're still ahead. And the more you're ahead, you start you start kind of dwindling down the number of pitches that the pitcher will feel comfortable throwing in those counts, and he just comes back with a changeup. But you can let it fly a little bit more when you're ahead in the count.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Now the count to Braun, and here it is. Swing and a miss. Turn that one over again, and Braun, the first strikeout victim for Weigel. You're seeing that more and more, though, and I know that you talk about it at the big league level for years, but I've noticed it more in the minor leagues and in the college game and maybe it's because of the new bats, maybe it's because pitchers are more confident at every level for whatever reason, but that there are a lot less fastballs in 2-0 counts. Squares the bunt, Elson bunts it foul.
But, they start to – the pitchers and the catchers, they start to work on the secondary pitches a little bit more. And I think now they're starting to feel a lot more comfortable throwing it because they know that the hitters are sitting on a fastball, and it doesn't have to be a perfect pitch sometimes. If you get a free swinging guy at the plate, all you got to do is put it in the vicinity, and a lot of times you're going to get that out-of-control swing. So as long as you can get it in the vicinity of home plate, usually you're going to get a swing out of it.
The 1-1, Elson takes loads, 2-1. Elson 2 for 17 in the playoffs. He took an 0-for in the first game. Weigel winds, the 2-1 on its way. Called strike on the outside corner, and the count now 2-2. Weigel pounding the zone for the most part so far. He set down the first 4 Lehigh hitters. Grounded to third, cut off by Clark. He will fire across. 2 up, 2 down, and the dominance of the Bucknell starting pitching continues into this game.
That was another change up there. Great job just throwing it over the plate and letting the hitters right now just get themselves out. But he's mixing it up so well right now. Fastball, changeup right now that he's got them off balance already here in the second inning.
2 outs for Connor Faust. Right-handed hitting first baseman waits. The first pitch on its way. This is outside. Faust now 2 for 14 in the tournament. In the first game today, he was 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Lehigh had a lot of 0-fers on their card. Only 5 hits for the Mountain Hawks in game 1. Pops this one up. Straightaway center coming in is Smith. He'll have it. And a 1-2-3 second for Weigel. We've played 2, no score. Bucknell and Lehigh and the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insider. He's had the best seat in the house for the entire game. He sits on the berm next to the Bucknell dugout. We are into the top of the 3rd inning for Game 3. Hello, buddy. How are you, doggy? Game 2 of the Patriot League Championship Series. No score. Bottom 3rd of the order due up for Bucknell here, and it'll be Alex O'Neill to start. O'Neill takes a strike. It's 0-1. Neal, right-handed hitting second baseman, was not used very much during the regular season, but as we mentioned earlier, the injury to Furman, the top offensive player for Bucknell, has kind of forced them to do some shuffling, and O'Neill got the call in both games against Navy and delivered. 3 for 10 with 5 RBI in the 2-game sweep of the midshipmen. 1-1, bounce to third. Backing up on it is Donnelly. The freshman will grab and flip across. The leadoff man retired here in the 3rd. Here's Danny Rafferty. And one of the big hits in game 1, a 2-run double in the 2nd inning.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 4, Danny
Left-handed
Rafferty.
hitting freshman from Chicago, Illinois. Product of Loyola Academy and Wilmette, and the first pitch to him outside. It's 1-0. That's my neck of the woods. Grew up there. I actually had several friends that went to Loyola Academy. Grounded to short. Gobbled up by Elson. He will fire across. 2 quick outs here in the 3rd as Burke is beginning to settle in. Seen a lot of early count swings right now from the Bucknell hitters as Burke is pounding the strike zone. He walked a man in the first. He's fanned 2 so far. And faced the minimum as he faces Wasikowski here with 2 outs in the scoreless game, top of the 3rd. Pitch to Wasikowski is fouled off to the right and out of play. It's 0-1. Chris, as a hitter, when you've got a guy that's throwing strikes, you want to attack early, but how do you pick what you want to attack?
Well, sometimes it's not so much a pitch; it's just a location. I was a bigger location hitter than I was a guess hitter as far as a pitch. So I always wanted the ball out away from me. So I took the middle of the plate out. And if you threw it out there, it didn't really matter what it was, a fastball, geared up for the fastball. But if you threw it out there, I could hit really anything out there.
1-2 hit on the ground towards the middle, gobbled up by Elson. He will fire across. 1-2-3. Go the Bison in the third. We played 2.5, scoreless. Lehigh and Bucknell, the Patriot League Baseball Championships on the Patriot League Network. Bottom of the third, bottom third of the Lehigh lineup to face senior Dan Weigel. The lefties set down 6 in a row to start this one. And first pitch, check swing, and first base umpire Steve Lombardo says, yes, he did go around. Patrick Donnelly shrugged his shoulders as if to say, come on. Weigel winds in his 0-1 on its way. Swinging a pop-up. Into right, Gingerelli over. He will glove that. Can of corn. Leadoff man retired here in the third. I mentioned Weigel was a first-team All-Patriot League selection. He also is an internet writer. Weigel is a serious student of baseball and is heavily involved in sabermetric analysis. First pitch of the fastball strike. It's 0-1. He actually writes for a site called numberfire.com. I was reading some of his articles this week. He was doing a pretty good retrospective of the deals that the San Diego Padres have done over the last couple of years. 0-1 hit on the ground. Past the diving Clark into left field. Rounding first is Mckay. He will take a big turn and hang on. That's his first hit of the postseason for the second-team All-League catcher. And it's the first hit of the ball game for either team here in the third.
Now batting the right fielder, number 16.
Some interesting stuff. Weigel, a big Baltimore Orioles fan too, and interesting that he's as involved in statistical analysis as he is. I know you're heavily involved in that, Chris.
Very much so. It always intrigues me when you read and you hear different things about the game of baseball and kind of the different angles behind things and the way people view it, and it just brings out new perspective and new angles and everything about the game that has never really been brought out before. And I'm not a big believer in a lot of that stuff, but if you take it the right way, there is some lessons to be learned.
Count now 1-2 to Brandon Wilt, the right fielder with a man at first, 1 out here. Scoreless game, last of the third. I agree with you, and I think I'm interested in the numbers. But I think you have to use it together with the scouting. And I think part of it's a communication issue. Grounded foul past third. Third base umpire Tom Beck throwing up his hands. Sean Leary looked like he wanted that one to stay fair. The head coach for Lehigh coaching at third. And it did a little dance as if to say, doggone it. Thought we may have had one there. But I think a lot of it becomes a matter of communication and how you especially if you're trying to explain it to a player. I mean, the language of players is different than the language of coaches, is different than the language of scouts, is different than the language of analysts. And it's all how you communicate that and trying to get most people to understand it.
Well, I think you're right, and that's the way you translate it. But there again, I mean, I think the game has become too much of a numbers thing, and I think too many people they judge players on numbers instead of heart. And is he a gamer? Can he play the game? Does he know how to play the game? Does he know how to pitch? There's certain things that I think the variables, it's almost like the umpires, they didn't want instant replay because they didn't want to take the game out of the umpire's hands. And I think the same way about the players. I think the players, some of them are gamers. They can play the game. They know the game. And I think some of that gets thrown out sometimes.
But I think you also see that the organizations that use the numbers the best are the ones that are consistently winning. The Boston, St. Louis, Tampa, and those things still matter, the way that the players play the game. It's 2 outs. Man on, and here's Pacioli. No score. We're in the last of the third. Pacioli 0 for 1. He lined out to center. A nice sliding catch by Brett Smith the first time. And his last 2 at-bats, as Chris mentioned, he's been on everything. He's a key man to get going for Lehigh. Has just one hit in the doubleheader so far. Takes strike. It's 1-1. Lehigh has not had a chance to run in this game. I mean, they have lots of guys that run, especially the two at the top of the order. Wilt away from first. This one line to right. Slicing away from Gingerelli. He will make the running catch, and the inning is over. Another hard hit out for Patriot, but to no avail. The Mountain Hawks strand a man here in the third. We've played 3, no score. Bison and Mountain Hawks and the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. And Bucknell are scoreless so far, just one hit. Each team has had one base runner. Mike Burke has faced the minimum. The senior right-hander for the Mountain Hawks will face the top of the order here for Bucknell. Brett Smith, Anthony Gingerelli, and Joe Ogren. First pitch is a strike on the inside corner. It's 0-1. Bucknell won the first game of this doubleheader today, 5-4. That means a Bison win puts them into the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2010. So misses inside. It's 1-1. Selection Monday is coming up a week from Monday. Memorial Day is always the selection day. Did you play in the NCAA tournament at Eastern? You guys never made it? You were at Eastern Michigan, right?
Correct, yeah.
Liner to right. Backing up on it is Wilde. Misplays it. It's over his head. Smith's going to end up at least at third and maybe with more. He's going to be held up there as the throw comes into Elson. Wilt froze on that ball as it was lined to right, and it just kept drifting and drifting over his head. I'll have to see if they score that. A leadoff triple here for Brett Smith. That's really the first miscue we've seen defensively from Lehigh in this doubleheader. They have played very, very well. And despite the fact they have just one hit, Sean Leary playing the infield back everywhere but at third to this point. Time is called, and now Burke is going to appeal at second. Elson steps on the bag, but the second base umpire, Eric Pavlovich, says he touched it. So we saw early in the game, in the first game, Lehigh play the infield in with one out. Now with nobody out, they play it back. Does this make sense to you with no one out in the fourth inning here? As Gingerelli pops it foul over our head.
Well, it does right now. I mean, it's still early in the game. I think that, they can concede this run if it does happen and still have some time to score. But like I said in the first game, it was just kind of weird. I think they did it in, the third or fourth inning last game, and now they're not going to do it here. But, you do have a power hitter up now, and, maybe that's because, makes the decision a little bit tougher because you do have a power hitter up and let him just put the ball in play.
Smokes this one foul, and he's behind on the count, 0-2. I wonder, too, if the number of outs has something to do with it. I mean, you're going to try and stay out of the big inning here. You can get the out. You're willing to concede the run. If there were one out, which is when they played it in before and they were able to cut down a run, if that would make more of a difference here in the fourth.
Well, I think if they get Gingerelli out here, you're probably right. One out, they probably will bring the infield in.
This one misses high. It's 2-2. And now with two strikes, they've brought the left side of the infield in. Elson is now playing even with the bag. The third baseman, Donnelly, has been in the whole time. Pretty standard defense of the man at third. Nobody out there. So Elson comes in with two strikes. The pitch in the dirt. And the count 3-2 now to Gingerelli. No score here, top of the fourth. The first scoring threat for either team as Brett Smith is at third. Gingerelli digs back in. Burke gets the sign and the 3-2. Swing and a foul back to the screen. He was way out in front on that and just did get a piece. Gingerelli's got pretty good hands. I'll tell you what, as much as he's been out in front on both, he's been able to fight off some tough pitches because he's looking to do damage. He's ready to get out front on that fastball. 3-2, outside, ball four. Gingerelli walks for the second time, and now it's first and third, nobody out. So here's the first real big spot. Now the infield will play back up the middle to try and turn a double play. They will gladly concede the run for two outs. Gingerelli Not a huge threat to run. 3 stolen bases in 6 attempts this year. Smith has the really good speed at third as Ogren stands in. First pitch to Ogren, misses outside. It's 1-0. He hit into a double play to end the first. And now time is called as John Bisco, the pitching coach, is going to head out to the mound to have a talk with Mike Burke. It's a case of Burke trying to speed things up a little too much, you think?
Yeah, I think, when you have runners on base, like we talked about before, you start to put a little bit of pressure on, not only on the pitcher, but the defense as a whole. And I think that right now he's just flying open a little bit, and his pitches are a little bit down, a little bit away from where he's not able to hit the spot. But getting back to Gingerelli, you were talking about his hands. He has the ability right now to not only get his bat to the zone, but he has the ability to keep it in the zone for a long period of time. And that's what good hitters do. They're able to get the bat to the zone and keep it in the zone. And it really helps with those off-speed pitches or those balls like he's getting right there away from you. But he has very, very good hands.
Conference is over. Runners at the corners, nobody out. No score. We're in the top of the fourth. As Ogren stands in, 4 for 12 in the postseason now. 1-0, hit him. It hit him, and now the bases are loaded for Bucknell. So a triple on a ball that Brandon Wilt, the right fielder, broke in on initially. Then a walk and a hit batter, and now the bases are loaded, and here's John Mayer. Mayer, just a sophomore, but he was the first-team All-Patriot League catcher. DH the first game behind the plate for the nightcap. And the first pitch is a strike on the outside corner. It's 0-1. Mayer hitting .275 coming into play today, now at .266. 21 runs knocked in. That's third best on the team. 0-1 tried to check. He went around, says the home plate umpire, Keith Seghetti, and now it's 0-2. Those are 2 pretty tough pitches from Burke coming right back against him.
Well, I don't think the meeting on the mound, they wanted to hit the guy, but he's really slowed down now, and he's keeping his front shoulder in, and he's able to place those balls, 2 nasty pitches to John, those first 2 pitches.
Yeah, he tried to get him to chase there, and it's now 1-2. Burke gets the signs from Mckay. Comes set, and the 1-2's just outside. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. That didn't miss by much. He had Mayer fooled. He had him exactly where he wanted him.
Well, this ball hill's got to go to center or right center, especially as a right-handed hitter. Hit a fly ball that way, you can score the run, and the runner from second can get to third.
2-2 fouled back and out of play. The best arm in the outfield belongs to Wilt in right. He has an above-average arm. Average arms in center and in left. Abel is a converted catcher playing left field. He caught for this Lehigh team last year. Runners at every station. The 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3 on the inside corner. Boy, he went away, and then painted inside to get Mayer.
That's a great sequence right there. I mean, that's exactly what you want to do. Get him looking out, and then he just painted on the inside black for strike 3.
1 out, and now here's Rob Krentzman. And Krentzman's had a rough go so far in this doubleheader. 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Batting with the bases loaded and 1 out. He lines it to center. Pacioli on the run. Can't get it. It's a base hit. Smith will come home to score. The throw gets away in the infield, but no one will advance. Rob Krentzman's first hit of the day, an RBI single, gives Bucknell a 1-0 lead. Picking on the first pitch that time was Krentzman. And it looked like it was down, maybe not quite down as far as Burke wanted, but he really got the foot down and just lined it into center. 1-0, and now here's Clark. Takes a changeup away, it's 1-0. Sam Clark tapped back to the mound his first time. He's got a chance to bust this thing open. 1-0 Bucknell. Base is still loaded. 1 out here in the 4th. Pitched, line to center field. Pacioli in, makes the grab. Tagging the runner at 3rd. Here comes the throw to the plate. It is not in time. Scoring on the play is Gingerelli. It's a sacrifice fly for Clark, and Bucknell leads 2-0.
Last two hitters right here. That's exactly what I was talking about. Hit the ball, the big part of the ballpark. Base hit, RBI, and then the sac fly right here to dead center field. Perfect hitting right there. Just hit the ball, left center, right center, big part of the ballpark, and they've done a great job the last two.
Do you think that there's a tendency for some guys to try and do too much with men on base?
Especially with bases loaded. I think bases loaded, it's a mindset as a hitter. You have to really calm yourself and just really take what the pitcher is giving you. And if he's not giving you pitches to hit a grand slam, then if you're trying to hit a grand slam, then you're just defeating your whole at-bat. So they've done a great job just using the biggest part of the ballpark right there. And look at what happens. You get 2 RBIs, you go up 2-0.
Alex O'Neill at the plate now behind in the count 0-2. Bucknell still threatening. They have men at 1st and 2nd with 2 outs. O'Neill with 5 RBI in that Navy series, a transfer out of Westchester Community College. Burke looks at the runner at 2nd on the 0-2. Outside throw down to 3rd of the runner going, and he's safe. Ogren went in head first, and I think he's hurt. Ogren is hurt at 3rd. I think he may have gotten a tag on the back of the neck it looked like he was grabbing at, or maybe ran into a knee. Burke gave him a quick look back, and then he broke. It seemed a little late, Chris, but he was able to get there ahead of the throw. So stolen base for Joe Ogren.
It looked like he put the tag right on the back of his neck as he was sliding head first.
Ogren seems like he's okay, having a laugh about it now. Shaking the cobwebs out a little bit.
I like that. He even made you do it.
I've been trying to shake the cobwebs out all day. 1st and 3rd now, 2 outs, 1-2 the count. 2-0 Bucknell looking for more here in the 4th, and O'Neill takes just off the plate. And Burke wants to know where that pitch was. He's asking if it's away or if it was down. And he was told by the home plate umpire, Keith Seghetti, it was away, and Burke did not seem to like the answer. Stomps off the mound. Now climbing back on. He's got his composure again. He's had a couple of close pitches that have not gone his way. 2-2. To pump that one past O'Neill. Able to foul it back and now play. I have to say, I mean, he hasn't gotten those pitches just off the corner, Chris, but it has been pretty consistent in every at-bat that's been called that way. It hasn't gone away. But I think so far the umpiring, especially at the plate, has been pretty darn good over the first 2 games, or game and a half. So O'Neill stays alive.
Well, I mean, that's the pressure that runners on base put on like I said, not only the pitcher but the defense. But you know, Burke's trying to get out of this inning. Makes a couple of really good pitches. He wants it. The hitter doesn't. You know, it's just the way the game goes. But he made 2 really good pitches right there, and looking for a strikeout right here.
Bounces that one in the dirt. On his way down to second is Krentzman, and he stopped for a second, but Mckay didn't throw through. And now the count is full. It's going to be a wild pitch, but Krentzman stopped 2/3 of the way as if he was trying to draw the throw, maybe to try and get a run down to get the runner home from 3rd. But instead, it's 2nd and 3rd. 2 outs. Bucknell with 2 runs home. Looking for more, and they'll get it. Base hit right field for O'Neill. 1 run is home. Wilt bobbles it. Here comes Krentzman to the plate. He will score. It's a 2-run single for Alex O'Neill, and Bucknell is up 4-0.
Great 2-strike hitting right there again. Just stayed inside the ball, drove it, didn't try to do too much to it. Drove it into right field for 2 RBIs.
And the bobble by Wilt, I think, allows the second run to score, so that'll be an error on the right fielder. And 1 RBI on the play for O'Neill, who now has 6 runs driven in just 3 postseason games. Here's Danny Rafferty as O'Neill went to second on the throw home. First pitch is in the dirt. It's 1-0. 4-0 Bucknell with the lead. If the Bisons win this game, they will move on to the NCAA tournament. It'll be interesting to see where they get sent. There are a couple of options for them. Pickoff play to second, and O'Neill just back. Well, he got a late break back to the bag, but he just did get there. Burke looking for the sign. Nick Castle getting loose for Lehigh. Is this one lined into left field? It's a base hit. O'Neill around third. He will come home ahead of the throw. It is an RBI single for Danny Rafferty, who's had a big day. The freshman now with 3 RBI in the doubleheader, and it is 5-0 Bison. And Nick Castle, the closer for Lehigh, already getting up as they have their backs squarely against the wall.
Shortstop number 11, Greg Wasikowski.
Boy, a pretty big day for the freshman. 3 hits in the doubleheader. He's driven in 3. He's scored a run. And some great opposite field hitting from Danny Rafferty so far. As Wasikowski takes a strike, it's 0-1. 5-0 Bucknell leads. Burke sets his 0-1. Called strike on the inside corner, and it's 0-2. Wasikowski, the 9th man to hit here in the 4th. He pops it up. Playable on the left side for Elson. The shortstop will squeeze it, and the inning is over. But the Bison bat around. They score 5 times. On 4 hits, they leave a man. We've played 3.5. It's 5-0. Bucknell leading Lehigh on the Patriot League Baseball Championships on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. As he starts the bottom of the 4th, the left-hander for Bucknell. The first pitch is a strike to Mike Garzillo. Heart of the order due up for the Mountain Hawks, who have just 1 hit so far and trail 5-0 in this second game. Weigel misses away. It's 1-1. As I mentioned before, a Bucknell victory today puts them into the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2010. There's a strike. It's now 1-2. And, Chris, if that happens, there's a good chance that they won't go very far. There are a couple of potential relatively local hosts as Garzillo goes down on strikes, the first out in the 4th. The University of Virginia undoubtedly will be hosting a regional. They have one of the, depending on which poll you're looking at, either the number 1 or number 2 team in the nation. Very, very strong team. And they would likely face, as the Patriot League will likely have a 4 seed who would probably face them. There's another possibility at Liberty could be hosting a regional. There's a strike on the inside corner to Abel.
Well, both of those sites would be good, but to be honest with you, I don't really think that Bucknell would really – I think they would fly across country. As long as they're in the NCAA tournament, I think they would go anywhere. And that's just – that's the nice thing about college baseball is the opportunity to go play the NCAAs. And you work all season for that opportunity, and obviously Bucknell's in the driver's seat right now.
Abel down on strikes, looking 2 quick outs for Weigel here in the 4th. And here's Tyler Braun. 3 strikeouts for Weigel to this point through 3 2/3 innings of 1-hit ball. Tyler Braun struck out swinging his first trip. He takes that one inside. It's 1-0. Well, as much as possible, the NCAA likes to keep teams as close to home as possible. So there's a strike. It's 1-1. And those would be about the closest sites. It would be interesting to see Liberty host. It would be the first time that they had done it. The guy who really built the program at Liberty was Bobby Richardson, the former Yankee great. So in the dirt, it's 2-1. He's now since retired from there, but they have a beautiful facility. There's a chance that they could host as a number 2 seed, not as a number 1. But there's been a lot of push that Liberty could actually be one of the teams. This one grounded toward short, diving in the hole. Shortstop Wazikowski, strong throw across. He got him. And is Braun okay? Turned an ankle as he hit the bag. A great play by Greg Wazikowski. And 1-2-3 goes Lehigh in the 4th. We've played for it's 5-0 Bucknell. You're watching the Patriot League Baseball Championships on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Top of the 5th and a new pitcher for Lehigh. It's their closer, Nick Castle, who will come on. Castle, who has been an important part of the revamped Lehigh bullpen between him and Joey McNamara this year. They both have been a key for them. Castle, 5-3 with a 2.84 ERA. Actually led this team in both wins and saves this season. 37 hits and 41 strikeouts in 38 innings. He had been a starter before this season. Both he and McNamara have helped to settle down the pen, and he's going to have to make yeoman's work here as he faces Brett Smith and starts him with a strike. It's 0-1. Mike Burke, the senior right-hander, last 4 innings, gives up 5 earned runs of 4 hits, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts for Lehigh. Castle pumping strikes. He's ahead 0-2. Castle came in really to save the clincher against Army in the 3rd inning. It was still a scoreless game at that point. He went 5 strong innings out of the bullpen. So he is stretched out. The 0-2 just off the plate. The count now a ball and 2 strikes to Smith. Castle working from the windup in the 1-2. Breaking ball hit on the ground. Fair inside the bag at first. Diving stop by Faust. He will get up and kick the cushion himself. And Smith is retired. Another fun fact about Castle here as he faces Gingerelli with 1 out. He is a juggler. And I'm not just talking about like juggling lineups, trying to move guys around. He is like a world-class juggler.
World class.
Well, I don't know that he's ranked. I'm not sure that there are juggling rankings, but from what I understand, he's really good. He's good enough to brag about it. I think there was some talk in the dugout there. I'm not sure what was said, but a home plate umpire apparently had enough. Keith Seghetti saying something into the Lehigh dugout. His first pitch is a strike. It's 0-1. Been some squawking over there from Lehigh's side, apparently. The 0-1 misses high and away. It's 1-1. But Castle will go out the field, juggle balls, juggle gloves. And apparently before one of the games against Army, one of the Army players kind of challenged him to a juggle off. So it's a strike. It's 1-2. And Castle was doing his juggling, and one of the Army guys thought that he would chime in and start doing it. So he started juggling a bunch of stuff near the Army dugout, and Castle just calmly walked over, kicked a bat up to himself, kicked with his foot a bat up to himself, and added it into the juggling. At that point, the member of the Black Knights team was like, I'm out. Walked away from it. Gingerelli grounds out, 2 outs.
Well, maybe we should have done that before the game. I would have liked to have seen that.
I know, we should have. We were too busy doing other stuff, I guess. But he'll do it on command. I mean, it's a great party trick. 2 outs for Joe Ogren. Bucknell leading 5-0. Ogren takes a strike. Ogren was hit by a pitch, stole a base, and scored a run in the 5-run Bucknell 4th. That's where all the action has been. Big blow in that, an RBI base hit from Rob Krentzman, an RBI sacrifice fly from Sam Clark, and a 2-run single from Alex O'Neill. Now Ogren's behind 1-2. Right-handed hitting first team second baseman playing left field in this game takes low and away, and the count now 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Can you think of any way juggling would be a good skill for a relief pitcher other than to kill time in the bullpen?
I honestly, up front, no, I can't. I mean, juggling is, good hand-eye coordination and all that, but as a relief pitcher, I don't really know
We got a
where
lot
the
of time
hand-eye
to kill.
coordination comes in. But so I'm going to agree with you. It's probably more of a time consumption thing than it is anything else.
2-2 inside as Ogren spins out of the way, and the count is full.
But it is a pretty impressive, though, when you see a guy that knows what he's doing and he can juggle 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5 things, and you're throwing things in there, and he's catching it, and they continue on. It is a pretty cool thing to watch.
3-2 misses outside, and Ogren draws a 2-out walk. Did you have teammates that were good jugglers?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anybody juggle in a big league
The catcher, number 25.
Like out of the ball field.
So,
Like at a children's birthday party is the only place you've seen it.
actually, yeah, I probably have seen it at a children's birthday party, but they're world class, like you said, so I expect that. But anywhere else like that, I don't think I've ever seen somebody in that category. World class. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good, right? 2 outs and a man at first for Mayer. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. 5-0. Bucknell leading here. Castle not just trying to keep the things he's juggling in the air, but trying to help keep Lehigh's season in the air.
I wonder if there's
dies back.
I wonder if there's any like Guinness World Record like juggling. You didn't look that up?
I did not look that up, no, but I could. I do have a computer here. I could if you wanted me to.
Well, I'm just wondering if there's maybe 10 items, 20 items, what a Guinness World Record juggling record would consist of. Maybe there's more than one.
Do a quick search and see if we can find out. No balls and 2 strikes to Mayer. Throw over to first instead. And the runner back. Mayer, the right-handed hitter, struck out looking in the 4th. The 0-2, that one just off the plate. The count now, a ball and 2 strikes. Well, it's pretty clear that pitch is not going to be called today. And as much as Lehigh may want to get that pitch, it's been pretty consistent. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Castle sets, and the delivery just outside again, and the count now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mayer. 5-0, Bucknell with the lead here in the top of the 5th. A 2-2. Tap back to the mound. Castle will glove it on the second hop. He will flip to first, and the inning is over. A walk and a man left. We're halfway through this one with Bucknell leading Lehigh 5-0. You're watching the Patriot League Baseball Championships on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Bottom of the 5th inning, Dan Weigel working on a 1-hitter so far for Bucknell as the Bison lead 5-0. He will face the 5, 6, and 7 men in the Lehigh order, starting with John Elson. Takes a pitch low. It's 1-0. We're at Depew Field on the Bucknell campus in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Former Orioles star Chris Hoyles. I'm Mike Farron. Glad that you've joined us this afternoon on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Pitch and a strike to Elson. It's 1-1. If you're just joining us, you've missed a lot today. A wildly entertaining first game. Bucknell winning 5-4. Elson falls behind 1-2. A 3-run 8th inning. The big difference for Bucknell. They had a 5-2 lead going to the 9th, and Lehigh made things interesting. But Bucknell won behind a huge performance from Bryson Ho. This one popped up to right, and the leadoff man retired here in the 5th. In this game, it has been all Bucknell. A 5-run 4th inning where they sent 9 men to the plate. Alex O'Neill's 2-run single made it 4-0 as part of that. And that's where we stand now, is that they are counting down outs, and a Bucknell win puts them into the NCAAs. First pitch is a strike. Faust, 0-1. Patrick Donnelly, the freshman, on deck for Lehigh. And that one hit him. That one hit right off of the elbow guard, it sounds like, that Faust has. So just the second base runner that Lehigh has had to this point. Lehigh, Chris, has had only 5 hits over the course of now a game and a half today. And Scott Heather coming out to ask whether or not that had hit the bat, but I think it hit the elbow guard for Faust. And so this is the first time, really, only the second time today that Weigel has had to work from the stretch. Time is called as the ball got loose. I don't know if it fell out of his pocket or if nobody picked it up after the hit batter. Weigel working from the stretch. First pitch popped up. Shallow right, backing up the second baseman O'Neill, waving his arms, now being called off by the center fielder Smith. And there's 2 outs. And here's Tim Mckay.
Well, I've been very impressed with this Bucknell team today. Offensively, defensively, pitching. Bryson Ho, the first game, just dominated that first game. And, you know, they're continuing on in game 2, and they just keep pouring it on. And offensively, they've done a lot of really good things.
Mckay bunts, trying for a hit. Clark charges. He'll put it in his pocket. Well, Mckay had come in 0 for 11 this postseason, and now he's got hits in both of his at-bats. What a smart idea there.
Well, when you're down by 5, that's what you need. You need base runners, and that's a heck of a bunt. Put it right on the line and beat it out.
Number 16, Brandon Wilt.
The runner at second, Faust, was jostling around there trying to draw a throw, but it's first and second now with 2 outs, and here's Brandon Wilt. Wilt hit into a fielder's choice in the third. Lehigh needs a base hit here. They've got to take advantage. This is the first opportunity they've had to score in this game. And trailing 5-0, you don't know how many you're going to get against an all-league performer like Weigel. Runners take their lead as Weigel checks the lead runner, the 1-0. There's a breaking ball strike. It's 1-1. See, Weigel at times will just try and flip that breaking ball over like he did there. And he's gone off speed with breaking balls when he's been behind in the count a little bit today.
He's mixed it up really well, and I think that he's kept the Lehigh hitters off balance by throwing that changeup in fastball counts. He's been able to throw that curveball in fastball counts. And sometimes that's what some of the best pitchers do. They pitch backwards, or what we call it, and you don't give them that fastball and fastball counts. And he's really got him off balance right now.
2-2 the count now to Wilt. 5-0 Bucknell with the lead here in the 5th. If Wilt can get on, it does turn the lineup over for Lehigh. Pacioli's hit the ball hard twice. 2-2. Breaking ball hit on the ground to third. To his left is Clark. He'll go the short way to second. And Weigel pounds his fist into his glove as the inning is over. 2 men left for Lehigh. We've played 5. 5-0 Bucknell. The Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. 5-0 Bucknell as we start the top of the 6th inning. 5-4-0 for the Bison. They've left just 2 men on base. For Lehigh, 0-2-1. They have left 3. Second inning of work for Nick Castle. And first pitch, Kretzman hit back through the middle for a base hit. His second hit in as many trips. We talked about it was a rough start to the doubleheader for Rob Kretzman. I mean, he had struck out 4 times over his first 5 plate appearances, but an RBI single in the 4th, and now a leadoff single here in the 6th.
Both on first pitches, too.
Yeah, that was the key. Don't get too deep in the count. Go ahead. Bring up Sam Clark. Clark with a sacrifice fly in the 4th. He is 0 for 1. He is 4 for 13 in the postseason. Some really good contributions from freshmen in this Bucknell lineup. We mentioned Brett Smith had the big hit that gave them the lead for good in the 8th inning of the first game. This one misses outside. Danny Rafferty had the 2-run single in that game. He drove in a run in this one as well. Excuse me, 2-run double in the first game. So big hits coming from freshmen, and Clark did a nice job playing at third base. with 4 hits already in this postseason. 1-0 misses low, and the count now 2-0 to the big left-handed hitter. Clark goes 6'5". Krentzman is 6'4". Weigel is 6'7". Bucknell's had a pretty good basketball program. I wonder if these guys tried out at all. 3-0. That is a physical team.
Well, and that's nice to see if you're head coach Scott Heather. I mean, that's when you have this many freshmen playing and contributing like they are, and you're on the verge of going to NCAA tournament with these number of freshmen playing, you know your program's in the right place.
3 balls and a strike now, the count to Clark. Alex O'Neill on deck. Throw over, and Krentzman was leaning. He just did get back. I don't know that Krentzman is necessarily going to be running in this spot. Up 5-0 in the 6th. He wouldn't mind tacking on 1 or 2 at this point. Throw over to first. And a runner back. We were just getting a note from the folks at Bucknell that 3 years ago, Ryan Ebner, who pitched for BU, he was one of the on that BU staff that used just 4 starters, pitched and played on the basketball team. Swing and a miss. They count now 3-2. I would have to think at a school like Bucknell or at Lehigh or at any of these Patriot League schools, because the academics are so important, playing one sport is tough. Playing 2 sports has got to be close to impossible.
Well, and especially basketball and baseball because the seasons overlap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I know a lot of guys that play football and baseball, and that's hard enough. But playing basketball and baseball, the seasons overlap, and you really come into the baseball season with really not much work at all because of the basketball season. So, as an athlete, you're kind of behind a little bit and not get the true potential of what you could be by playing that second sport. But obviously he tried it and was happy doing it.
3 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Clark. 5-0 Bucknell here in the top of the 6th. Pitch outside, ball forward, so the first 2 men are aboard here in the 6th inning for the Bison. Here comes Alex O'Neill. It was O'Neill's 2-run single with 2 outs in the 4th inning that busted things open.
Batting the second baseman, number 5, Alex O'Neill.
And credit for 1 RBI as Brandon Wilt, the right fielder, misplayed the ball, allowing a second run to score. O'Neill now 4 for 12 in the postseason with 6 runs knocked in just 3 games. And he's going to square to bunt here and will take a strike. 0-1. It's been an adventure for both teams when they've been asked to get bunts down today. Tim Mckay's been the most successful. He had a sacrifice on an 0-2 pitch the first game for Lehigh and then bunted for a hit here. The 0-1, taking a breaking ball strike. It's now 0-2. Now time is called as O'Neill's going to go down and talk to the third base coach, Ryan Wood, to try and figure out what they want to do with 2 strikes. Notes being written now by a home plate umpire, Keith Seghetti. No balls and 2 strikes to O'Neill. Right-handed hitting infielder rests the bat on his back shoulder, and he's ready. Breaking ball, popped up, shallow right, coming in as the right fielder Wilt. He will slide, he can't get it. He's going to have a play at second, and they will get the fielder's choice there. So it'll be a fielder's choice, 9-6. Krentzman advances to third, O'Neill safe. That's the second time in the postseason that same thing has happened to Alex O'Neill. In one of the games against Navy, he hit a blooper to center field. The center fielder came on, couldn't make a catch on, and they were able to force the runner at second. Otherwise, he could be, 6 for 13 as opposed to 4 for 13 now in the playoffs.
That's always a tough play as a runner because you don't know. The right fielder's right there. He just was unable to make it, but you got to get up far enough to make it to second, but yet close enough to get back to first. So it's always a tough play as a runner.
Runners at the corners with one out for Rafferty. He's already got an RBI in this game. He's driven in 3 in the doubleheader. Throw over to first, and just back is O'Neill. Castle must be awfully quick with his feet because we're seeing runners react really late at first base when he makes a move. Coming home this time is Rafferty. Did he check on that one? Appeal to third. He went. So the third base umpire, Tom Beck. That seemed like the right call there. I always try to give hitters the benefit of the doubt on that. I know you think every check swing doesn't count, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're catching.
My finger would have went up a lot sooner than that.
Castle steps off a bluff to third. That play, the old fake to third, fake to first, is still allowed in college baseball. It is not in the pro game. The 0-1. Changeup misses low, and it's 1-1. 5-0. Bucknell leading Lehigh in the top of the 6th. Patriot League Rowing Championship is also this weekend. It's going on in Worcester, Mass. up at Holy Cross. Get you an update on that. 1-1 called strike. Count now 1-2 to Rafferty. There's also some other college baseball going on. As we speak, in fact, Virginia playing Wake Forest today. Throw over to first, the runner's back. A lot of guys getting the early start today with now that graduation is kind of out of the way for a lot of teams. The 1-2, swinging a bouncer to first. Faust will step on the bag for one. He will throw home, and the throw gets away from Mckay. O'Neill went to second on the grounder. He'll go to third as the ball gets to the screen, and it's 6-0. Krentzman scores. It's an RBI fielder's choice for Rafferty. His 4th RBI of the day. And on the throwing error, O'Neill will go to third. Well, that's the second out of the inning, and it's now 6-0 Bucknell. So that'll bring up Greg Wasikowski. Wasikowski 0 for 2. Takes outside. It's 1-0. The Women's Rowing Championships finished in Worcester today. Boston University wins the team championship in the Patriot League. Navy was second. Wasikowski lines it to center. Pacioli going back. He will make the catch, and the inning is over. By the way, Bucknell finishes third in the women's rowing. Another run for the Bison. They now lead 6-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th here on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Bottom 6th inning, Lehigh trailing 6-0. They'll send the top of the order here against the left-hander Dan Weigel, who's given up just 2 hits and really only has been in trouble once through the first 5 innings. Put up 2 men on with 2 outs in the 5th. That's been it. 2 singles to the number 8 hitter, Tim Mckay, and other than that, a a hit batter, and no other base runners for Weigel. Fires a strike to Pacioli. It's 0-1. Pacioli 1 for 6 so far in the doubleheader, but he's hitting a little bit of tough luck. Lining out a couple of times. His final at bat in the first game and twice in this game. 1-1 the count. Lehigh's going to need him to get on to get a rally started, down 6-0. 1-1 in the dirt. The count now 2 balls and a strike. And this is really it for either of these teams. Neither of these teams are in the mix to get an at-large bid into the field of 64 in the college tournament. So you must win the Patriot League in order to get in. 2-1. That one misses low, and the count now 3 balls and a strike to Pacioli. And the tournament, for those who aren't familiar, it works very similarly to the NCAA basketball tournament. Same conferences. Same automatic bids. The 3-1 has popped up. Right side, O'Neill in fair territory near the line makes the grab. That's out number 1. Bring up Garzillo, who's 0 for 2. So you win your conference, you win your conference tournament, you get in. There are a couple of conferences that don't do conference tournaments, namely the Pac-12 and the Big West. A couple of competitive conferences, but the powerhouse schools are a little different, or conferences at least. That one swung on and missed. You have the SEC, which is a power in everything. I think the SEC could probably be a power in national politics if they wanted to be. They enough behind it. So it takes in the dirt. It's 1-1. But the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and then the Big West is one of those schools, one of those conferences that tends to have good success in the tournament. The West Coast Conference, which has their championships on Campus Insiders, I know, next week. There are a lot of good schools in that. The Big Ten is getting better. Indiana went to Omaha last year, and now they have at least 2 schools that are in the mix this year. Indiana, Nebraska, potentially Illinois. They might have 3 teams into the tournament, which would be incredible. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. And there's now 2 outs. For Weigel, that is 4 strikeouts through 5 2/3 innings. And here's Joe Abel. Abel, one of those strikeout victims the last time in the 4th. What impresses you so far about Weigel, Chris?
I think his command. I mean, he's been around the plate all day, been able to keep him off balance with his fastball and his breaking ball and changeup, and more importantly, just being able to throw his secondary pitches in fastball counts. And like I said before, if you can do that as a pitcher, as a hitter, that makes it that much harder. And he looks like he has 3 quality pitches, and he can use them and throw them at any time. It doesn't matter what the count is.
And he's ahead now 1-2 with 2 outs here in the 6th. It's 6-0 Bucknell. Weigel will step off the rubber. Take a little extra time getting ready here. Peers over the glove and the 1-2. Swinging a grounder to the right side. Way off the bag is the first baseman, Krentzman, and Weigel is late getting over to cover. It'll be an infield hit. It looked like Krentzman wasn't sure how far over he wanted to range and then got kind of caught in no man land. And by that point, Weigel was just a tick late. Left-hander's going to fall off to the third base side a little bit anyway.
That's why Krentzman at first, you have to trust your second baseman that he's going to get there. I think that was the second baseman's play right off the bat. It wasn't hit very hard at all. I think the second baseman had plenty of time to get around that ball. I just think Krentzman at first just went a little bit too far, but you're right. Weigel fell off as a lefty, fell off on the third base side, and just couldn't rebound and get over to first base in time.
Here's Braun, is 0 for 2, strikeout victim in the 2nd. He also grounded out to short to end the 4th. Took a nasty spill at the base at first, but seems to be okay. He was kind of hobbling coming off the field. The DH waits for the 1-0, and now he's ahead in the count 2-0. Now, Weigel kind of took a tumble as he got to first as well. Seems okay.
And that's a big fall, 6-7. That's a long way down there.
Swing and a miss. There's a fastball by him upstairs. It's 2-1. Lehigh down 6-0 here, and the number of outs for them to keep their season alive is dwindling. 2-1, called strike on the outside corner. It's 2-2. Braun with a pair of doubles, a couple runs knocked in the first game. He has a homer in this postseason, that against Army. 3 on the season. He gets jammed and pops it up. Shallow left. Going out the shortstop into foul territory is Wazakowski. He will make the catch. And the inning is over. 2-out hit. No one left. Just 9 outs to go for Bucknell to clinch their first Patriot League title in 4 years on the Patriot League Network. In the top of the 7th of the second game in this best-of-3 series. And Brett Smith leads off and takes a strike. It was Smith's triple in the 4th that started a 5-run rally for the Bison. Takes inside. It's 1-1. And that's all they've needed. They got a tack-on run in the 6th, but 5 runs in the 4th. That was as much offensive output as they had in all of Game 1. Breaking ball strike. It's now 1-2 to Smith. Bucknell, the top seed in this tournament. They were the regular season champions in the Patriot League. Lehigh was the 3rd seed in this tournament. It was the first time they'd even made the tournament since 2006. And if this is the end of the road for Lehigh, and they still have 9 outs to play with, but if this is the end, they're going to lose some key seniors on this team, but there is some talent there. Mike Garzillo and Patrick Donnelly, Tim Mckay. That's still a pretty good core that they have with those guys for Lehigh.
I've been impressed with Lehigh today also. I think that, like you said, they have some younger kids that are in the lineup, and they've contributed. And, in any program, you look at the underclassmen, because the upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, obviously the seniors are leaving, but you look at the underclassmen and freshmen and sophomores, and you kind of reevaluate at the end of the year. And they had a great year this year, and I think they're going to come back and they're going to be better next year. They're going to lift and they get stronger, and obviously the experience that they're gaining, being in games like this. So, both clubs right now, Bucknell and Lehigh, I think are in pretty good spots as a program.
Smith was called out on strikes. Here's Gingerelli, who is 0 for 1. He's walked twice and scored a run. Left-handed hitting right fielder waiting for the 1-1 from Castle. Takes outside. It's 1-1. Here's some of what they're losing after this year for Lehigh. Joe Ablin is gone. Tyler Braun, Mike Burke. We mentioned those are their 3 captains. All of those guys. Nick Castle, who's on the mound now, as Gingerelli swings through that. It's 2-2. They will lose those guys. They will lose Colin Gottson, who started the first game of this doubleheader. Joey McNamara from their bullpen. So some real key guys that they're going to be without going into next season. 2-2 just off the plate. The count now full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now, they will have Kevin Long back, and we saw what he did in the first game. Matt Kazemchik, who has played some outfield and pitched for them, is that one hits Gingerelli right on the knee. That did not look like it felt good, but he's hit now on first now with 1 out. And that's not to say, they certainly could come back. I think one of the more interesting things to think about is Justin Pacioli. And Sean Leary's going to come out of the dugout, the head coach for Lehigh, wondering whether or not Gingerelli made an effort to get out of the way of it, I think. And he's having an animated discussion with Keith Segretti, the home plate umpire, asking if he's sure that he was trying to get out of the way. And I think the answer is yes at this point. So. But just getting back to Lehigh's roster, Pacioli was a guy that was, the preseason player of the year for Baseball America. Missed time with the hand injury, and he's had a good year, but you wonder if he tries to roll the dice to come back for a senior season, if he wants to play professionally. He's a journalism major, and speaking as a journalism major, you probably are working to play professional baseball if you can.
Yeah.
You wonder whether or not he tries to come back for his senior year, which would give them a big boost.
Well, it would. And, there's always key guys every single year, and you kind of wonder at the end of this year if they're going to come back. And if they do, they're going to make your team stronger. If they don't, obviously, you're going to have to fill that position with somebody else. But that's why it's kind of nice, like we had talked about before, when somebody goes down, it's nice to have those secondary players that you can trust and give them some time, because if something like that happens, obviously graduation, you can't do anything about that. That's going to happen. Injury, you can do something about that just by filling in different players, but you don't know when those things are going to happen. So those type of backup players are key.
Ogren singles through the middle. He goes to third. The throw gets away from Donnelly. Backed up well by Castle, and on the throw, Ogren will go to second. So it's second and third now and 1 out for Bucknell as they try and salt this one away. It's going to be a single and an error. That's the third error in this game on Lehigh, and there's activity now in the Mountain Hawks bullpen. You can see that's Joey McNamara that's getting loose. McNamara, the other ace reliever for this team. 6-0 Bucknell infield in at all 4 spots. First pitch is a strike to John Mayer. Mayer is 0 for 3. He struck out twice and bounced back to the mound. 4 for 16 in the postseason for the first-team All-Patriot League catcher. Set in the 0-1. Swing and a drive deep to left field. Way back to the wall. That ball is caught by Ablin, tagging and coming home to score the 7th Bucknell run as Gingerelli. Mayer just missed that one. It's now 7-0 Bucknell, a sacrifice fly.
That's a great job right there, and that's what we talked about before with this Bucknell team. I mean, they're doing everything right now to win this ball game, and even in the first game. That's a great job, great at-bat right there. Just look for an elevated pitch, and he got it and drove it to left field for a sac fly to tack on another run.
2 outs, and here's Krentzman. Krentzman, the pair of hits in this game, he's scored twice. It's 7-0 Bucknell. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. Castle came on in the 5th in relief of Mike Burke, who gave up 5 earned runs in his 4 innings. Senior replacing his senior. The 0-1 outside. Count now, ball and a strike. Well, we talked about how Lehigh is set up. I mean, really, Bucknell finds itself in good shape. You mentioned a couple of the freshmen that are continuing to contribute as Krentzman hits this one in the air to right at Wilt, the right fielder. We'll talk more about Bucknell's future in just a bit. They tack on another run. They leave a man. Time to stretch here at Depew Field with Bucknell 9 outs away from the NCAA tournament. They lead the Patriot League Championship 7-0 on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insider. John Elsa to lead things off in the last of the 7th for Lehigh, trailing 7-0. He picks on the first pitch and pops it up. Right field. Gingerelli is there, and the leadoff man retired in the 7th. The leadoff man has been retired in every inning by Dan Weigel, who's gone 6 1/3, a 3-hit ball. He's only given up 1 base hit that's left the infield. 2 infield hits. 1 a bunt hit by Tim Mckay, another kind of an in-between ball to the right side. First pitch to counter Faust is a strike as Weigel just keeps pumping the zone, Chris.
Very impressed with him. Lefty, tall lefty, downhill. Throw the ball downhill very well. Keeps the ball down in the zone.
And he just hit Connor Faust, and Faust started to first, and there was no reaction from the umpire. And then when he looked back, then all of a sudden Keith Segretti said, "No, you need to take first," which led to John Mayer, the catcher, being upset. It's the second time that Faust has been hit by a pitch. It looked like it may have just grazed his knee. So 1 out. Here's Patrick Donnelly. In the dirt, backhanded by Mayer. It's 1-0. Starting to see some jumping around in the Bucknell bullpen. Bryson Ho worked into the 9th inning of game 1. The 1-0. Swinging a liner to right on the run. Gingerelli won't get it. It's a base hit. Faust is on his way to third. He will make it without a throw. And there's runners at the corners with 1 out. And now here's Lehigh's best opportunity to get on the board, trailing 7-0. And here's Tim Mckay. He's been the one who's been able to figure out Weigel so far. He's singled for their first hit in the 3rd, a clean base hit to left. He's also bunted for a hit. 7-0 Bucknell, last of the 7th, and Lehigh down to its final 8 outs. First pitch is a strike on the inside corner. It's 0-1 to Mckay. So Grabchuk is about ready to start getting loose in the Bucknell pen. The 0-1 called strike, and it's 0-2 to Mckay. Faust away from third, Donnelly from first. The 0-2 in the dirt. Mckay lays off. It's 1-2.
Just continues to pound the zone. Even that ball right there. You know, sometimes when you throw a pitch, it's a ball right out of his hand. But that one right there, that was close enough that.
This one hit in the air to center field. On the run is Smith. He will make the catch. Here comes the runner. It'll be held at the plate now. Donnelly's going to go to second. The throw there off the glove of the shortstop Wazakowski, and coming home to score is Faust at 7-1. Smith lined up, made a throw to the plate, and holding on that play was Faust. And when the throw came all the way through, that's when the runner at first, Donnelly, decided to go, and he goes to second. It'll be an error on the shortstop. Wazakowski as it bounced off his glove. So no RBI, but 2 outs and a man in scoring position. And we have a pinch hitter. This is Jason Nalesnik. Jason Nalesnik is going to pinch hit for Wilt. Nalesnik, a little power off the bench, right-handed hitter. Takes one in the dirt. It's 1-0. Lesnick making his first appearance of the postseason. Hit .258 over the course of the year with 13 knocked in. 1-0 upstairs, and the count now 1-1. A hulking right-handed hitter. It's actually 2-0, excuse me. 2 outs, man at second. 7-1, Lehigh trailing here in the 7th. Lesnick takes outside, the count now 3-0, and Pacioli on deck. We talked about how well he swung the bat overall today. It would be a big chance for Lehigh to try and make things interesting if they can get him to the plate in this inning. Lesnick now ahead 3-0 as Weigel set and the pitch. Ball 4 outside, a 4-pitch walk to the pinch hitter, Lesnick. And now it's first and second with 2 outs, and here's Pacioli.
Up ahead, the center fielder, number 3, Justin Pacioli.
John Mayer's going to go out to the mound as the bullpen's going to start getting some work in for Bucknell. Well, this is the first time we've seen Weigel scuffle at all. Pretty good here into the 7th. Now first and second with 2 outs and a run home already. The first pitch to Pacioli squares the bunt and takes a strike.
This is a big at-bat right here. If you can get a hit and score another run and get another guy in scoring position, and the next guy, if they can cut this lead and get 3 or 4 runs right here and cut it in half with 6 outs, I mean, that's what Lehigh's trying to do right now. Just get some base runners and add a couple more runs and cut into this lead and see what they can do the last third of this game.
Now, they haven't had many opportunities to score. This has been their best one in this inning. 1-1. Liner off the glove of Kritzman and into right field. Around third is Donnelly. He stumbled, but the throw will come to second. Nalesnik goes to third, and it's an RBI single for Pacioli, and now it's 7-2. Justin Pacioli with an RBI. It's his second hit of this doubleheader today. But it's 7-2, and now here's Mike Garzillo. Jason Knights, the pitching coach for Bucknell, is going to make his first trip of the day to the mound.
And another ball hit hard by Pacioli. I tell you what, he's been on everything today. And that might only be his second hit on the day, but he's fallen into some hard luck the way he's hit the baseball today.
Both of his base hits have been just off the glove of Rob Krentzman, the first baseman. The first one in the first game, and then that one. It line drives to right field. So now they get speed on the bases. And, down 5, I know Patriot is a pretty impressive base runner. Do you think about it here, knowing that Mayer probably is not going to try and throw him out?
I think it'd be a tough call right now, especially with a left-hander on the mound. May not get the best of jumps.
Fouled back. I mean, ordinarily down 5, you wouldn't even think about it.
No.
It's a little different in the college game. You run first and third place. Some of those things can happen, even with 2 outs. But
they kind of have the momentum right now, though, so I wouldn't. You leave that big hole right there.
Garzillo drives one deep left field. Going back is the left fielder, and under it is Ogren to make the catch, and the inning is over. Garzillo gave it a ride, but it died about 5 feet short of the warning track, and that will do it for Lehigh in the 7th. They do play a couple of runs. They leave a pair. We head to the 8th. It's 7-2 Bucknell on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Top of the 8th inning, a couple of defensive changes for Lehigh. Jason Nalesnik, who came into the game as a pinch hitter, stays in the game. He will play left. Joe Ablin, who was in left field, will move over to right as Nick Castle begins his 4th inning of work, and he will face Sam Clark. First pitch is a strike. It's 0-1. 7-2, Bucknell leading here in the top of the 8th with former big league star Chris Hoyles. I'm Mike Farron. Bucknell 6 outs away now on defense from moving on to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2010. Castle in his 4th inning, as we mentioned, came on for Mike Burke after Burke went 4 and gave up 5 runs in the 4th to Bucknell, and that really has been the difference. The Bison tacked on single runs in the 6th and the 7th, and Lehigh just got 2 in the bottom of the 7th. As they try and stay alive, and now Castle's behind 3-1. And Joey McNamara up in the last inning for the Mountain Hawks. You wonder if he will get up again shortly. 3-1, driven in the air, right center field, long run. Ablin on the run, can't get it. The one of it in the alley on his way to second is Clark. He's in there with a slide, and it's a leadoff double for Sam Clark.
Once again, up in the count. Hitters just teeing off. I can't say it enough on the hitter side that when you're up in the count like that, you can let it fly, and they're letting it fly right now for extra base hits.
And that's going to be it, I think, for Castle, as his day will be done after the double. Sean Leary out to talk to his senior, trying to make a decision as to whether or not he will keep him in, and that will be it. So Castle done after 3+ innings. Gives up a pair of runs and is responsible for the man at second, and Joey McNamara will come on in relief. It was McNamara who finished their clincher against Army after Castle came out and was really the relief ace, going 5 strong innings. McNamara got the last 6 outs in that 3-1 win. This will be his 14th appearance in 31 innings. He's allowed 32 hits. He's walked 6. He's fanned 18. Posted a 2.61 ERA. You can see he throws a lot of strikes. And walks really haven't been an issue for either of these teams today. I mean, we've seen a few more in this game, but the control has been really pretty good. I mean, none of these guys have been overpowering, but they have thrown a lot of strikes.
They have, and that's been impressive on both sides. And, like I was talking about before with Weigel, from a pitching standpoint, there's a lot of times when you get ahead, 1-2, 0-2, something like that, it's a ball right out of their hands as far as a waste pitch or something like that. But I've been impressed with Weigel because everything he's thrown has been around the plate, that out of his hand as a hitter, you have to respect that. Some guys, right out of their hand, you notice and recognize it's a ball right out of their hand, but with these guys, they've been around the plate, and you got to respect that, and it makes it tougher on a hitter that you have to respect that. So you know, both sides right now are doing a great job on the mound and limiting the amount of walks, and they're making these guys put the ball in play.
Alex O'Neill will be the hitter. He'll be the first to face McNamara here. Clark is at second. Bucknell tries to get at least one of these runs back that they gave to Lehigh in the bottom of the seventh. 7-2 the score. McNamara, a three-pitch guy, the fastball. He's got a little bit of a cut fastball that he throws to, and then he's got a breaking ball, big curveball. Right-hander from a deep set. And the first pitch is up high. It's 1-0 to O'Neill. O'Neill is 1 for 3 with an RBI. So hit into a tough luck fielder's choice. Very, very good at using the opposite field. He rolls over this one to third, cutting it off as Donnelly looks the runner back and throws to first. Excellent play by the freshman third baseman for the first out. I've seen some really good third base defense in both of these games. I know Clark had an error in the first game, but for the most part, they've done a really good job of going to their left and cutting balls off before they get to the shortstop.
Well, we've seen some great plays over there, and it's something that on turf that they almost have to do, because by the time the shortstop backhands that ball with some of the speed that we've seen, pretty much not going to have a play. So the third basemen have to be very active, go cut that ball off, and it kind of neutralizes a lot of the speed that these teams have.
Here's Danny Rafferty. Rafferty is 1 for 3 with a couple knocked in. He's driven in 4 runs overall in this doubleheader. 7-2, the Bison lead in the top of the 8th. Checking the runner at second, the 1-0. Popped foul down the left field line and out of play. Rafferty had a big 2-run double in the second inning of the first game. Helped even the score. And that game was a 2-2 game until the 8th, when Bucknell scored 3 times. Lehigh got a pair back in the 9th. I have to say, this Lehigh team does not give up. 1-1 inside. It's now 2 balls and a strike. They were down 7-0 in this game. It's now 7-2. The 2-1, lined back through the middle. It's a base hit. Clark on his way to third. He's going to be waved home. Pacioli's throw in plenty of time. They got him. What a throw by Justin Pacioli to gun down Sam Clark at the plate. Wow, what a throw. Pacioli charging that ball. That ball was smoked into center. And Clark making big strides around third, and a one-hop strike, and Mckay had him by 5 feet. And a good job by Mckay to give him a lane and then take it away at home.
It was a great throw. Right on the money. Catcher stayed right there and was able to play the tag. Great play.
2 outs. Here's Wazakowski, and he takes a strike. 7-2 still the score, and looking ahead to the Lehigh 8th. They have the heart of their order coming up. Abel, Braun, and Elson. Count now 1-1 to Wazakowski. Wazakowski 0 for 3 in this game. He was 1 for 3 in the first game of the doubleheader. 2 for 15 on the playoffs. 1-1 takes the strike. It's now 1-2. Wazakowski had a huge sacrifice bunt, though, in the 8th inning of that first game. That helped to set up the 3-run rally that ended up giving Bucknell the early game. Again, this is a best-of-3 series. If Bucknell wins, they go to the NCAAs. If Lehigh comes back, we'll be playing a decisive game tomorrow. Yeah, that one in the dirt. It's now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's a big play also, because Lehigh scores 2 runs in the 7th inning, and we just talked about it as far as getting back into the game. If you continue to give a run, you know, they're not going to be able to get back into it. So the momentum goes back to Lehigh.
Routine for Donnelly, who throws to first. The inning is over. 2 hits, a man left, but nobody scores. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 7-2 Bucknell. The Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insight. Last of the eighth, 7-2 Bucknell. They need to record just 6 more outs in order to make it to the NCAA tournament. They'll have to go through the heart of the order here for Lehigh. As Dan Weigel begins his 8th inning of work, the starter has gone all the way so far for Bucknell, and his first pitch to Joe Abeln is a ball low. It'll be Abeln, Braun, and Elson, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters in the order for Lehigh as they try and rally from a 5-run deficit. This is in the dirt. Abeln now ahead in the count 2-0. And I don't think it'll be very long before you see the bullpen called on for Bucknell. It's been fouled back. Getting loose in the Bucknell pen. That is Tom Harabchuk, who is getting loose, even though he is not wearing Tom Harabchuk's number. He's wearing Corey Furman's number. I'll tell you that story in a little bit. 2-1, popped up. Shallow right. Coming over the right fielder, the second baseman. Sliding is O'Neill, and he can't make the play. That'll be a no play as it fouls in foul territory. That's a tough angle for everybody. The second baseman really has the best angle on that ball, but he had so far to go.
That's a tough play. That's kind of right in between the first baseman, second baseman, and right fielder. And you're right, the second baseman does have the better angle, but that doesn't make it any easier. That's a tough play, especially with everybody running full speed.
So now the count 2-2 to Abelin. Weigel rocking that left leg as he does before he starts his wind. And the 2-2 driven deep down the left field line, hooking in the corner and going foul. That is a foul ball and had home run distance. But it hooked foul and the count stays 2-2. Lines a 2-2 lined into center field. That's a base hit. Leadoff single for Lehigh, so they pick up where they left off in the 7th as they try and mount a rally down by 5. And now here's Tyler Braun. I think Scott Heather is going to make a pitching change here. He raised his hat to see if Harabchuk was ready in the bullpen, and I think he was. And I think this will probably be it for Dan Weigel. It has been a heck of a performance for the left-hander so far. And he will take the ball from him after 7+ innings of 6-hit baseball. An outstanding performance for the first-team all-league senior. And he really commanded the zone, and it just started to get away from him a little bit in the 7th.
Well, he started to get the ball up. We talked about it all day. You know, he was able to keep the ball at the bottom of the zone, a lot of movement as the game went on, you know, especially the 7th inning and then even to start this inning, the ball started to get up a little bit. And when that happens, you start to lose a little bit of the sink, a little bit of the movement, and it starts to flatten out. And, you know, you're starting to see what happens when that, you know, when it starts to flatten out. Lehigh gets 2 runs in the 7th inning. They get the leadoff guy on here in the 8th inning. It's a good time to get him out, get a fresh arm in there, and see if he can induce a ground ball double play.
Tom Harabchuk is in out of the bullpen. He's been part of the 7, 8, 9 combination that Bucknell has used all year. Harabchuk 1-0 with a 1.80 ERA, 20 innings, just 12 hits allowed, and opponents hitting 169 against him. Harabchuk normally does not wear number 12. Harabchuk is on the scorecard, and the program is number 36, but last week needed another jersey, and the option that was available to him was Corey Furman's. Now, Furman, of course, is the star offensive player, the first team designated hitter in the Patriot League, who is out with a hamate bone injury. And so it's what started as something innocent enough as just needing another jersey is now turned into a tribute for Furman, as Harabchuk asked to wear the jersey again this week in an effort to try and honor his teammate who was not available.
It's a neat story. I mean, you hear about that in the sporting world periodically, and you know, it's a nice tribute to a guy that's not able to get in the lineup, and And now he's continue on with a different number 12, and that's a neat story.
I'll bring up Tyler Braun. Braun is 0 for 3 in this game. He had 2 doubles in the first game of this doubleheader. 7-2, Bucknell leading as Rabchik takes over with a man on first. Nobody out here in the 8th. And Bucknell leading by 5. First pitch to Braun is a breaking ball on the inside corner strike. It's 0-1. The pitchers may not be happy about not getting the outside strike call, but they've gotten the pitches on the inside corner. The 0-1 to Braun. Jam shot foul. Diving attempt there by Krentzman, but he could not get it. As John Bisco, the pitching coach and first base coach for Lehigh, had to get out of the way of the big man trying to catch that. It's 0-2. Lehigh trying to mount a rally. They have the only 2 men in their lineup with home runs due up. Braun with 3, and Elson in the on-deck circle has 2. Set in the 0-2. Swinging a grounder to the right side. Diving stop by O'Neill. His only play will be to first, and he'll get him there. Excellent play by Alex O'Neill to take away a base hit from Tyler Braun. 1 away. And for a second, I think he wanted to turn a double play, but at this point with a 5-run lead, you're just counting outs if you're Bucknell. Just take the easy out.
First, that was a heck of a play. I mean, he had to go to his left and cover that hole right there and laid out for it and got it and got the out at first base. With a 5-run lead, that's the worst thing you want to do is try to get a double play and don't get any outs. So, heck of a play, laid out and got 1 out.
Here's Elson, the first pitch outside to him. He is 0 for 3 and now 2 for 20 in the playoffs. Elson 0 for 7 today, all told. Got a man at second of this team down 5. Breaking ball up high. Count now 2-0 to Elson. Rabchik kind of asking where it was. Rabchik on the mound going with the flat brim look. 2-0. Swing and a miss. He blows a fastball by him that time. It's 2-1. That's amazing how you put 2 pitches in almost the same spot and you just have a little bit different in velocity and how much a difference it makes. 2-1. Upstairs, and the count now 3-1 to Elson, and Connor Faust waiting on deck. Faust has been on base twice, and he scored the first Lehigh run last inning. Set, 3-1, swinging a grounder to the left side, cut off by Clark. He will throw to first, 2 outs. Another nice play by Sam Clark at third as he is able to get to that grounder and throw out Elson, and that will leave this scoring chance for Lehigh up to Faust.
Now batting the first baseman, number 15, Connor Faust.
Faust 0 for 1. He's been hit by a pitch twice. And he scored the first Lehigh run in the 7th. That's when they played at both of theirs. They're down 7-2 here in the last of the 8th. First pitch low and away. It's 1-0. Faust was a second-team All-League performer this year. He is 0 for 4 today between the 2 games. The 1-0 is Rabchik the look. Long set, and now time is called at home plate. Faust trying to keep the line going. They need to get a couple more base runners in this inning to try and make sure they turn the lineup over in the 9th. Faust drives it, left center field. On the run, Ogren in the alley, makes the catch, and the inning is over. Leadoff single, but Lehigh does not score. Bucknell coming up. As we go to the 9th, they are just 3 defensive outs away from the NCAA tournament. This is the Patriot League Baseball Championships on the Patriot League Network, powered by Campus Insiders. Top of the 9th inning, Bucknell batting leading 7-2.
Batting the center fielder, number 2.
Top of the
Brett
order
Smith.
for the Bison here. Brett Smith, Anthony Gingerelli, Joe Ogren. Face Joey McNamara in his second inning of work. Smith started the 5-run Bison rally in the 4th with a triple. He had a line drive to right field. Brandon Wilt, the right fielder, broke in, then froze, and it was over his head. And Smith ended up with third with nobody out. And the Bison would end up scoring 5 runs in the inning. 0-1. Smith chops it foul. It's 0-2. Rookie of the Year in the Patriot League had the big 2-run single in the 8th inning of Game 1 today. So it has been a productive day for the leadoff man for Bucknell. It's behind on the count here, 0-2 as McNamara goes into the wind and the pitch on its way. Breaking ball way high as that one looked like it slipped out of his hand. It's 1-2. Lehigh will have the bottom third of their order due up in the bottom of the 9th. Bucknell will try and close out the regular season and tournament championship in the Patriot League. The 1-2 just outside. They count now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Smith. There's only one other team that has already clinched a postseason berth in the NCAAs. That's Columbia in the Ivy League. They defeated Dartmouth in 2 games in their best-of-3 tournament. 2-2. Outside, the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Smith. So Columbia and Bucknell would be the first 2 teams in the field of 64. That means that there's only 62 bids available. That's what my math tells me, at least, Chris.
That's good.
Only be 62 bids left. Most of the conference tournaments get played next weekend. 3-2. Chopped off the plate, off the mound. McNamara to get it. Underhand flip to first, and Smith is out. Leadoff man retired here in the top of the 9th. I mean, you can start guaranteeing that there are some mortal locks for the NCAA tournament at this point. We were talking earlier about UVA being one of those teams. The University of Virginia will be there. Oregon State will almost certainly be a national seed. Some questions beyond that as to who else will end up in that mix. I think it's a pretty good case that Louisiana Lafayette will be, as this one fouled off by Gingerelli. Raging Cajuns have had a great year. Sun Belt Conference isn't as good this year as it has been in the past, but they're still having a fantastic season. So wouldn't be surprised to see them have a national seed. University of Washington has had a great year in the Pac-12. 0-1. Swing and a miss. The count now 0-2. And Washington will certainly be hosting. I'm not sure that they'll be a national seed. Florida State should be. That's important. If you are a national seed, that means you're hosting both a regional and, if you advance through the regional, then a super regional as well. The 0-2 just outside. The count now 1-2 strikes.
Well, that's what makes tournaments like this so important is you have to win. And you alluded to it a little bit earlier that, you know, the pressure is on in conferences like this because you have to win to move on. And some of the conferences are going to have more than, you know, they're going to have multiple teams just because of strength of schedule and everything else. But when you play in a conference like the Patriot League, you have to win it to move on and to have that opportunity.
Gingerelli down on strikes, 2 outs for Ogren. Ogren 1 for 2. He's hit into a double play, walked, hit by a pitch, singled. He scored a run. 7-2, Bucknell leading. Well, and Bucknell, as a number 4 seed, had one of the more stunning first-round upsets in 2008, I believe it was. They beat Florida State in the opening game. That was Buster Posey was of Florida State. There's a strike. It's 0-2 now to Ogren. And that's a double elimination format, and so they weren't able to advance out of the Florida State Regional, but still winning a game like that, I mean, that's akin to, you know, depending on where the seeding is, I mean, that's similar to having a 12 or a 13, 14 seed winning an opening round game in the NCAA tournament. It's just that you get another chance in baseball with the double elimination regionals.
Well, the more games you have an opportunity to play against competition like that, obviously it's going to help your kids that's already in your program, but as far as recruiting also, because it goes a long way in recruiting, and you can use that information and that positive experience to your favor for incoming recruits and possible recruits down the road. So any type of success that you can have in making it there is always going to be a positive.
2-2 line back through the middle by Ogren, his second hit of the day, the 8th for Bucknell. 8th at the 9th, and there's 2-out base runner for John Mayer. Mayer's 0 for 3 with a sacrifice fly. 7-2, Bucknell leading. Xavier Hammond walking around in the bullpen. He closed out game 1. You wonder if they'll go to him in game 2 as well. First pitch from McNamara, swing and a liner on one hop to third. Donnelly has it. He'll flip to first, and the inning is over. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Bucknell needs 3 more outs to make it to the NCAAs and capture the Patriot League championship. They lead Lehigh 7-2 on the Patriot League network, powered by Campus Insiders. Bottom of the 9th inning, Bucknell 3 outs away from going to the NCAAs. Xavier Hammond on to close things out. The junior left-hander pitched the final 2 outs of the first game of this doubleheader. He will wind and face the bottom third of the Lehigh order, starting with Patrick Donnelly. First pitch strike there. Dan Weigel started, went 7+ innings of 6-hit, 2-run ball. Tom Rabchuk came in, gave him a scoreless inning, and now Hammond ahead in the count 0-2. Donnelly, Mckay, and Nalesnik due to hit here for Lehigh with their season on the line. Hammond winds. The 0-2 is outside. It's now 1-2. As you mentioned in the first game, Hammond had started most of the year, but was the key bullpen guy in the Navy series. In fact, he ended up, in essence, moved into the closer's role. Pitch misses just inside the count, now 2-2, as Donnelly just able to hold up. But Scott Heather had said, when they're a regular closer, Tucker Rikucki had not pitched very much over the last month and struggled against Navy. He did not hesitate to bring in Hammond as this one fouled out of play to the right. And kind of wondering aloud during the week whether or not that would be the case again. And certainly it seems like Hammond is going to be his go-to guy at the end of games. If they get into this situation in the NCAA tournament, he can give them some length, and he can finish short for them. The 2-2, down and in, and the count now full. So good job by Donnelly to battle back to a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out, the leadoff man here in the 9th. The payoff on its way, swinging a tapper back to the mound. Hammond has it. He will fling it to first, and the leadoff man retired. 1 away, and here's Tim Mckay. Mckay has 2 of the 6 Lehigh hits here in the nightcap. A single in the second and a bunt single in the fourth. He's also flied to center.
Tim Mckay.
Mckay from St. Petersburg Catholic in Pinellas Park, Florida, takes the ball high. It's 1-0. So Bucknell needs just 2 more outs in order to make it to the tournament. There's a strike. It's 1-1. It's been fairly dominant pitching from the Bison so far. Just 6 runs allowed to this point. Strike 2 in the count, of ball and 2 strikes. And very good defense. I think that's the other thing that stands out. 1 error for them in these 2 games. They have played a very, very strong defensive game. And they really did against Navy, too. Swing and a miss. Mckay down on strikes as Mayer applies the tag. And Lehigh down to its final bullet. Jason Nalesnik, who walked as a pinch hitter in the 7th, is all that is left between Bucknell and the NCAAs.
Well, a lot of times they go hand in hand. You get good pitching, you're going to get good defense because they stay on their toes, you work fast, the Bucknell staff has done a tremendous job. They get the ball, they're ready to throw, they pound the zone, and I think the defense behind them is a reflection of that.
Bucknell players on the bench, primed at the top step, waiting. Hammond's 0-1 on the outside corner, a strike, and now Lehigh down to its final strike. Bucknell with a 7-2 lead, looking for its first NCAA appearance in 4 years. The 0-2, this is low, count now 1-2. You can see the players jumping up and down as they get ready for Hammond's 1-2 pitch. Swing and a bouncer, left side, fitting that Clark would field it, throw to first, it's over. The Bucknell Bison are going to the NCAA tournament, champions of the Patriot League regular season and tournament champions. No better feeling than being at the bottom of that dog pile at first base as Bucknell advances to the NCAA tournament, sweeping both series in the Patriot League championships, beating Navy 2 straight and sweeping a doubleheader from Lehigh today. A fine, fine performance, Chris.
All the way around, offensively, defensively, and even that pile there at the end was pretty good. But dominating performance all the way around by Bucknell today. Pitching, hitting, defense. I mean, they came to play today.
7-2 the final. Dan Weigel, the winning pitcher in Game 2 of this championship series. 4-0. Bucknell goes in the Patriot League championships. For my partner, Chris Hoyles, I'm Mike Farron saying so long from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Bucknell on its way to the NCAA championship after sweeping Lehigh in the Patriot League tournament. So long.